Hello, Collateral Gaming listeners. Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. I just wanted to take a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. No, it's not video games, but we do invite really awesome and unique bands from all over the world. We dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Zachary Gio.
This is Collateral Gaming. Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it.
Yo, what's up, dude? How you been doing?
Hey, I've been doing great, man. I glad to be on a podcast episode together once again to talk about a really, really awesome, charming, amazing game.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about that in a second, but first off, I kind of want to start a new segment where we talk about, not only can we talk about, gaming news, but we should also talk about what kind of games we've been playing lately.
Well, I can definitely start off with that. I started playing through the Master Chief Collection, starting on Halo Combat Evolved with Danielle. She and I are going to go through all of the Halo campaigns together, and that has been an absolute blast. The first time we did it, we played literally halfway through without stopping. The first campaign, we were just laughing and dying and shooting everything, and it was a great time. I've been playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga again on the Game Boy Advance. And I've started playing the Fire Emblem series again. Sacred Stones and the Sealed Sword and Fire Emblem with Lyn, Eliwood, and Hector. It's just Fire Emblem 7, I think it's what it's known as. And of course, I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War because Vanguard sucks, and so I gotta get the Call of Duty feel in there. Oh, also, I started playing Breath of the Wild again.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, just to, I've been craving some Zelda, and I can only play Skyward Sword so much.
Right. I don't blame you, and that's totally you to start playing some more Breath of the Wild again.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, in addition to the game we're going to be talking about today, I've been playing the other games in the series, namely Mario & Luigi Partners in Time and Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which is my personal favorite. Didn't get nearly as far into them as I did with Superstar Saga, which we'll be talking about, but I have been playing, the hell out of those as well. What I've been really playing a lot, though, is the Ace Attorney series lately, and right now that's been the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So they're kind of a prequel series set, or sub-series, spin-off series set like 100 years or so before the main Ace Attorney games. So instead of taking place in modern times, it takes place during like the Victorian era,
yeah,
and like the Meiji era in Japan. Or I could be wrong about that. It's like the early 1900s, so you've got like guns and shit. But Japan's legal system is just barely, and the game actually does take place in Japan instead of the States, like the localized versions of the regular games, except when the characters go to Great Britain. Actually, most of it takes place in Great Britain, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, you're kind of seeing this judicial system that's not nearly as advanced as the modern one, and there's also a character named Sherlock Sholmes who is just one of the best characters in gaming overall. He's such a gem.
Sherlock Sholmes.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty amazing, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. In preparation for some of our upcoming episodes, I've also been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I started Hellblade: Senua's Saga as well, so.
I started Horizon Zero Dawn. I never got through it. I never finished it. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. I like it. It's a fun game. I mean, it definitely has its flaws. I mean, when you compare it against some of the other games that have come out around the same time or since, I feel like it's a little bit lacking. And if Megan is listening to this episode, she's probably going to shoot me for saying that, because that's her favorite game. But But I mean to say it's actually a fucking incredible game. I'm just kind of nitpicking here, and we'll have more to talk about on that episode. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, did you have any gaming news worthy of mentioning?
Not really. The only kind of news that I've got so far is that there is really no news as far as new games are concerned. We'll find out. You know me, I focus mainly on like Nintendo and stuff like that, and we'll hopefully get a direct sometime within the next couple of months. But as of right now, there's not really anything on its way that's really worth the time, which I know is probably a cardinal sin to say, but you know, we haven't heard anything about Breath of the Wild sequel. We haven't heard anything about Metroid Prime 4. Those are the two titles that I'm focused on, and so anything else right now, I'm just not really concerned about.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I know this month we are getting Pokemon Legends Arceus. I would like to do a game launch episode on that. We'll see. I did pre-order it, so I guess we may as well talk about it, even if it ends up, being a solo episode or whatever. It's worthy of mentioning. I also God of War finally came to PC. I'm surprised it took as long as it did, but
Wait, really?
yeah.
When did this happen? Because I have a PC and I love that game.
And I'm talking about the new one, by the way, God of War 2018.
Yeah.
I believe the Windows version was on January 14th. Yeah, just yesterday, as of the time of recording this.
Whoa! Is it still $60 or is it free to play?
I doubt it's free to play, but probably not charging the full price for it. I don't know. You'll have to.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out because that game is spectacular.
Yeah, hold on. I'm looking it up right now. It's
all good.
It's on Steam, obviously. I got to put in my birth date. How much? It's $50.
Oh,
I know.
okay.
40 would have been a better price for that.
Yeah, but hey, it's on PC now, so hey.
If you want to play it on PC, I think that's not a bad price. Well, at least they're not charging full price. I'd be kind of pissed if they were charging full price. I mean, it kind of depends on whether, if you've never played it, by all means, get it on, and you have a PC, get it on PC. If you have played it, it may or may not be worth it for you to play it on PC. I'll leave that up to how much you love that game. For me, I probably definitely would if I had a PC, because that's an incredible game. It's in like my top 5 favorite games of all time, I think, or top 10 for sure.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm probably going to make that investment and go back through it because I love my PC. I've had it for since April of last year, so I'm coming up on a year with my PC. That's kind of insane. It feels like I just got it. But yeah, I'm going to have to look into that because I love that game.
Yeah, it's a fucking incredible game. Also, apparently, everybody's mad at Troy Baker because he's doing the NFT thing. I guess he's an NFT bro now.
Well, I mean, to each his own.
I respect the hell out of that man as a voice actor and as in both anime and video games. He's got a lovely, rich voice, and he plays some of the greatest video game and anime characters of all time. But this whole NFT thing's kind of shady. I mean, it just kind of makes up a joke, actually. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I don't know. I don't even really know much about NFTs, but apparently you can steal them by screenshotting them. So
yeah. Well, I mean, go Troy Baker. You do your thing.
Yeah, but I guess that's it. I mean, like you said, there probably hasn't been very much. Nothing new has been announced since the Game Awards, I would say. We haven't really had a direct or anything. E3's not till several months from now, so we'll see. But kind of been a slow month in gaming news, but that's okay. That leaves us more time to talk about Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Zach, this was your pick, so
yes, it was.
Why don't you go ahead and get into why you picked this game and what are your overall thoughts?
Honestly, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is the very first turn-based RPG game that I ever played, and I love Mario and Luigi for starters, but also that game it's an adventure. It really is. Usually as a kid, you're used to playing like platforming games and stuff like this. Nothing that's not really turn-based. But I loved Mario and Luigi as a kid, and having a Game Boy Advance, I was running out of games to play, and so I went to the local, I think it was GameStop at the time. It had already opened here in Jessup. But I saw that cartridge, and I was very interested. I was like, what is this? What is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga? So my dad was like, do you want it? I was like, sure. And so he got it for me, and I started playing it, and the introduction to the game was awesome. The animation was really cool, and then the tutorial started, and I was really confused. I was like, this isn't typical Mario. This isn't like you're just running across platforming and getting to a flag, or you're not. You're literally exploring the story of an open world while having Pokemon-like encounters where you touch enemies and it goes to a battle sequence. And at first, I was kind of iffy about it, but then I really got into the story, and, it just took me through the entire game, and it became easily one of my favorite Game Boy titles of all time, and one of my favorite Mario games, honestly.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it definitely is an interesting choice for a first turn-based RPG game, but at the same time, it's actually perfect for a beginner's turn-based RPG game. It's not nearly as complicated as, say, like Final Fantasy or Fire Emblem or any of the other RPGs. And one thing I do like about it is that it definitely feels more involved than other turn-based RPGs are, because you actually have the ability to dodge attacks, and in order to execute attacks, it requires timing-based action. So you're never really bored. There's never that feeling of, you're just kind of sitting around and mashing a button. You're mashing two buttons. No, you're not mashing them. You're pressing them at the right times, but
Timing is crucial in this game, even down to the very fact of starting a battle with enemies. Like, if there's an enemy, unless, like, jumping on its head can physically hurt Mario and Luigi, you can literally start battles by bouncing on heads, and it will start the game giving you an advantage by damaging the character. It's really cool. Or, if you jump on, like, a spiked enemy or something like that, it'll start the fight with Mario and Luigi taking damage. And I always thought that was really cool. And other turn-based RPGs, there's like a whole slew of characters to focus on as far as their progress and leveling up. But in this game, you're solely focusing on Mario and Luigi. And it's really cool because it allows you to compartmentalize the progress that you're making. It makes it more of a focused and direct approach, and it makes it that much more captivating, and it kind of helps with the immersive experience a little bit, because you're literally carrying Mario and Luigi on this journey.
Yeah, and I'll admit, the game is pretty easy, both versions of it. It's not particularly difficult, but when you're a kid, I guess it actually, I remember dying several times the first time I played this.
Oh, dude, this game kicked my ass when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I played it more recently, I was kind of like, oh, this is actually pretty easy, but it's fun. It's a really, really lovely game to just sit down and kind of chill to. I mean, I was playing this all day when I was preparing for this podcast. And let me also start out by saying that I love the Mario and Luigi RPG series. Among the Mario RPG spin-off series, I want to say it's my favorite, because I've just always really been invested in the gameplay. It takes a lot of the same things from, Paper Mario and Super Mario RPG. In fact, in many ways, this is really the spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG, more than even Paper Mario was.
Yeah.
But you've got, like the first strikes and all that, but you can also completely dodge attacks. And that's something unique to this series. And I really like that. One thing I also like about Superstar Saga in particular is that every move you learn in the overworld, in the field, you also take with you into battle. So Mario and Luigi have their jumping, their hammers, and in this game exclusively the hand powers, and even their brothers' actions, the spin jump and high jump and hitting each other with hammers and their hand powers also become battle moves. They're basically your special attacks in this game, your bros moves, which typically you're going to use those brothers moves mainly in boss battles, but even in the regular battles, I enjoyed, just kind of clearing out enemies quickly with them, or whenever I was trying to get an advanced move, I'd use them a lot so that I could unlock that advanced move whenever I got to the boss battle.
Absolutely, and it's really cool because while this game can get expensive if you're not smart about how you use your bros moves, because you have to use stuff like, what are they, 4-leaf clovers and syrup.
Yeah, the herbs, there's refreshing herbs, which heal status effects, mushrooms, which of course heal your life, and then syrup is what heals your brother's points, which is this is the points that you use, the currency you spend in order to use bros moves.
Yeah, and if you use them a lot, it gets expensive, because while it's not exactly difficult to gather currency in the game. You really just have to run into enemies and defeat them, and you'll get a certain number of coins and experience. That's another thing. I'll go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Fight as much as you can in the game, because that's how you level Mario and Luigi up. And the higher you level up, the easier and more manageable the boss fights are, because some of the boss fights in that game are ridiculously hard.
If you're underpowered, for sure, yeah.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
I will say there's not a lot of grinding that needs to be done. If you're fighting every enemy that comes across your path, Mario and Luigi will be even above the level that they may need to be, or right at where they need to be. So don't skip any don't skip any battles in the, whenever you're roaming around in the overworld, unless, of course, you're returning to a section and the battles are like super fucking easy and they're not going to give you much experience anyway. I mean, around the end of the game, I would start trying to skip those. But if you're in an area for the first time, fight every single enemy that you come across, because it's worth it. Because, like you said, not only do you gain experience allowing you to level up, but you also gain items. One thing I also like about this game is that whenever you level up, not only do you get a point increase for several of your stats, but you can also choose one stat and you can get a bonus. It spins like a little roulette wheel, and so you can add anywhere from like 1 to 5 or 6 points to a particular stat, and more so if you haven't been focusing on a stat. If you focus on a stat too much, it's going to offer lower numbers. But if it's something that you haven't leveled up in a while, you can really get a big boost to it. And, stats, of course, include your power, defense, speed, and then also your health points and your bros points. But one unique stat to this game is stash, and the stash is cool because it increases your chance of getting lucky hits on enemies, and it also gives you discounts in stores.
Yeah, absolutely. So, out of curiosity, what did you think of AlphaDream's design for this? Because I mean, this is the first installment in the Mario Luigi series, but it's the third Mario RPG title, following Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars and Paper Mario. But what did you think of AlphaDream's idea for design in this game, and just movement and flow and gameplay? Because honestly, it's one of my favorite games of all time. We did a top 5 games episode a while back, Ash, and this was definitely on my list.
Yeah, I remember we had on our game recommendations episode, you had mentioned this one, and I have to agree. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think in terms of the series, this comes right after Bowser's Inside Story for me, and it's very close. It's extremely close. But this game wins a lot of points just for how innovative it was, because every Mario and Luigi game that came after was, standing on the shoulders of this game. And this game does some things that the other games don't do, namely that you can actually switch the positions of Mario and Luigi, and there are far more abilities that are available to you, and including the Firebrand and Thunderhand powers.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of overall design, I think that the level design is incredibly well done. I appreciate the puzzles, the puzzle solving aspects of the game. I mean, they could have just had a standard RPG game, and it probably would have been fine. But AlphaDream went out of their way to make a game that's just as fun in the overworld and in battle. And I really appreciate them for doing that. In fact, every boss battle even has a particular strategy, usually, in terms of defeating that boss more quickly. And so, I really appreciate the level design in the game. And if we're talking about design, the art design is also really cool. I mean, the Mario & Luigi series actually has a very unique art design. Well, up until the 3DS games, when they kind of made everything more like the main series, which I'm not as happy about. But in this game, Mario and Luigi actually have a different design than they do. It's subtle, but they actually accentuate the differences between the brothers. So Luigi looks even taller and lankier, and he's got those stripy socks.
Oh, dude, I love it so much.
Yeah, so I actually really like that, and the design of all the toads, and they all look different. They're different sizes and colors, and
yes, they are. Also, I was thinking, Ash, what if we did a live streamed run through of this game? Because I have it on my PC and as a ROM, and it works beautifully, and I can actually stream it through Discord. I figured that out. I was messing around with Avery the other day, and so we could definitely do that if you would want to do that. I think it would be a lot of fun.
I'm down. This would definitely be a game I'd love to run through.
Absolutely. And I need to get the DS version because I have a 3DS, and I've played all of these amazing games. Samus Returns Return of Samus isn't amazing, but It's something. But the art style's great, but we're not talking about that. Oh my gosh, what is it? A Link Between Worlds? That game is phenomenal. And so I need to play the remake. This is one of my favorite games. I should definitely play the remake. I think it's dumb that I haven't.
You really should. I mean, I've heard different things. Some people aren't as happy with it, but I think overall most people say this is it's an improvement on the original game. I want to say it is a little bit easier.
Would you say it's the definitive version?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because part of me wants to, but, like I said, they did kind of remove the art style that distincted Mario and Luigi from it. And I mean, at times it does feel a little bit easier, but in other ways they made the game harder to sort of balance it out. So
yeah,
I want to say I guess I can't say it's the definitive version, but it's about on the same level for me. I mean, it kind of just depends on what kind of gamer you are.
I guess you could say it's definitely worth the respect that you can give the original title for creativity, and of course they didn't change the actual game. Like, the story's the same, the boss fights are the same, the level ups, the power ups, and all of the abilities haven't changed. And I'm sure the level design is the exact same, except it's expanded upon because of the power of the 3DS. And so I would have to play it to give my honest opinion on it. But I definitely should. I feel like it's dumb that I haven't. I'm sorry to all of those listening that are shaking their heads in disappointment at me right now. Because if this is in my top 5 games of all time, I should play the remastered version.
Yeah, you really should. And I think it definitely is worth playing. If you're revisiting this game after playing it in your childhood, I would say get the 3DS version. If you're new to the series or new to RPGs in general, get the 3DS version. We'll talk more about the 3DS version, and the difference between the two, I think, in part 2. But yeah. I definitely think it's worth getting. I know that depending on what you like about the Mario and Luigi RPG series, you may prefer the GBA version because, in terms of the time the timing of things and whatnot, it is a little bit more difficult and it has a little bit of that charm, but the graphics do feel a little dated. Obviously this was the one game in the series that really needed the improvement the most because it came out on the Game Boy Advance, so
a long time ago.
That being said, it doesn't look bad for a Game Boy Advance game. I mean, it's right up there with like Metroid Fusion or Metroid Zero Mission in terms of GBA games that look really good. I mean, obviously you can see all the characters. I love the designs of all the enemies in this game. I mean, the entire game takes place in the Bean Bean Kingdom. They really wanted to throw characters in a different world and have different enemies. And for the first game in a sub-series, that's kind of a bold move, but and not having the game in the Mushroom Kingdom, I think, was a good choice because they could add all these unique Bean variations of enemies or just completely wholly new enemies that we've never seen before.
Yeah, like Drago Ho-Ho turning into Prince Peasley. Cackletta turns Prince Peasley into the dragon at the top of the mountain because he wants to steal or she wants to steal the Bean Bean Star. Or the Bean Star. Not the Bean Bean Star. What is wrong with me? The Bean Bean Star!
Yeah, the story is pretty good. But,
it's so good, man. It's so funny. The
Mario and Luigi series really nails the humor down. Out of all of out of any Mario game in general, I think they do the best job of like story and humor.
My friend Richard and I, when we were in college, he's played this game too, and he really likes it. And an inside joke that he and I had was, I would look at him randomly sometimes, and I would go "Atotoreto," and he would go "Omonita and it's just that's how Mario and Luigi would communicate in the game, and I thought that was amazing. But you're absolutely right about the humor aspect of the game. I mean, one of my favorite sections of the game, as well as one of the most comedic for me, is the Ciacola Woods. And you
fight a soda monster!
You do fight a soda monster, one that's been aged in a barrel, and it's so funny, dude.
Like fine wine.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I love that they have this running gag throughout the entire series of people not remembering Luigi or giving him less credit. They'll be like, Mario and Mr. Green Mario, or are you the head of the Mario fan club?
Yep.
Even
Dude,
Bowser doesn't remember his name.
One of my favorite characters in the game is Popple, the thief. I love him so much.
Popple's great. He actually shows up, I believe, in Dream Team.
Really?
Yeah, he makes a cameo appearance. One character though who ends up making a actually a much bigger appearance is Fawfal. He's one of the more memorable characters in this game, being the underling of Ciacola. He's just got such a unique personality, and he's actually the main villain in Bowser's Inside Story.
Oh, dude, I need to play Bowser's Inside Story.
You do.
And that's also on the 3DS, right?
It's on the DS. So it came out originally on the DS, and then they made a 3DS remake. There are a lot of people who say that the original DS version is better because of that, because it was just fine the way that it was. I've played both. I like them both. I'd probably have to play them, together again. I can't find my 3DS copy, so I played the DS copy of Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah.
Either way, you can play both versions on the DS, though. So it is kind of weird that they decided to do it. In fact, AlphaDream is now defunct. They are no longer a company. They went bankrupt, and the last thing they ever did was the remake of Bowser's Inside Story, which actually failed commercially.
That sucks, man, because they made such beautiful games. I mean, take this one. It's a journey, man. It's awesome, and if you're not a high enough level at the end, Ciacola will kick your ass.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, the series definitely, I think it peaked at Bowser's Inside Story. The 3DS titles afterwards were fine. I actually have not beaten Paper Jam. I guess I kind of lost interest in it, but it's not a bad game by any means. And after that, they just started doing the 3DS remake. The 3DS remake of Superstar Saga was a good idea. Bringing improvements to the first game, making it more accessible for players because you can't play GBA games on the 3DS. And for some reason, it's the Game Boy Advance games are on the Wii U Virtual Console, but not the 3DS Virtual Console. I don't know why. It's the weirdest fucking thing. But after that, they should have done another main series game and maybe kind of returned to roots and looked at what the series did great, but instead of doing that, they decided to skip past Partners in Time and just remake Bowser's Inside Story because it was the most commercially and critically successful game in the series. But it was just such a weird move to do 2 remakes in a row and actually skip a game in doing so. It's like, no, what they should have done is have another main series game and then remake Partners in Time, because that game could actually use a remake. It's probably it's lower on the list for me in terms of games in the series. That game could have been a lot better.
Believe me, I understand.
It's not bad though. Again, it's not bad. All of the games are fantastic, but yeah, I mean, talking about Superstar Saga again, I mean, it really set the precedent for new players. I mean, I wonder, that's why I said the 3DS version makes some improvements that make this game more accessible. I mean, the game can get pretty confusing, even just moving around, because you've got a button that switches Mario and Luigi's order, and now instead of A being Mario and B being Luigi, B is Mario and A is Luigi, which, and so you have to, they can switch order, and then by switching order, they have a whole new set of moves that they can perform. So the 3DS version kind of simplifies that. We'll talk about that later, but
Oh, dude, I love those moves actually. Like if Luigi is leading, Mario can jump on his head and they can jump super high. Or if Mario's leading, Luigi can jump on Mario's head and they can do a spin move that can
the other
go
way
across.
around.
Oh, it's the other way around?
Yeah. If Luigi's in the lead and Mario is in the back, they do the spin jump, and if Luigi's in the back, they do the high jump.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I was remembering that differently, but hey, thank you for good looking out.
You're good, bro. Yeah, I love the brothers' moves, the brothers' actions in the game. The high jump allowing you to reach areas that are too high, obviously, and the spin jump allowing you to hover across gaps and make longer jumps. Also, Mario can smack Luigi with his hammer and slam him into the ground, so he digs underground and he can go under grates and dig up beans. And Luigi can smack Mario with his hammer and turn him into Mini Mario.
I forgot about that. Oh gosh.
Yeah. And so actually the brothers can get separated by using these moves, and there are quite a few puzzles, especially when you get to Joke's End, that take advantage of that. In fact, you spend quite a bit of Joke's End separating the brothers and then bringing them back together. That's actually kind of one of the best parts of the game, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, honestly, the first time I played the game, I thought Joke's End was the end of the game.
It's towards the end, but there's still a lot to do after it.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised how long this game goes. I mean, it's kind of like go here and then go here and then go here. It's pretty simple in terms of that, in terms of like the objective, but the story does keep going and there's continually things to do. I mean, they could have just done okay, yeah, let's collect the 4 pieces of the Beanstar and made that like the entire game, but they didn't. That's just one part of the game.
Yes, it is. And that goes back to our Zelda discussions of having different segments of the game come out, and I really like that.
Yeah, definitely. I love that the way that Bowser is presented in actually all of the RPG games, I should say. He's just kind of put in this more like comedic role. He's sort of comic relief. He's almost always the tutorial boss for Mario.
Yep.
The tutorial battle, but he actually ends up partnering alongside the brothers in a lot of these games, or in Bowser's Inside Story, you actually end up playing as him, and there's some really unique, interesting mechanics in that game that I'd love to talk about in a later episode. But
oh yeah, we'll get to it because I'm definitely gonna have to play through that game.
But I love the way that Bowser's presented in this game. I mean, first of all, you actually. Of course, you fight him. He tries to go after Peach, but then he realizes that he can't kidnap Peach because they've stolen her voice and replaced it with explosive vocabulary.
Oh, and then the whole castle just
yes, and so
good.
Bowser teams up with Mario Luigi and takes them over to the Bean Bean Kingdom, but then he quickly gets out of the picture and then pops up later as Popple's rookie.
Yep.
An amnesiac Bowser that doesn't remember who the brothers are. Genius.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Oh dude, I can't wait to dive into the story. Of course, that's going to be more part 2, but dude, this game is phenomenal, and I can't wait to play the 3DS version.
I was gonna say we can get into the story on this episode.
Well, I mean that's up to you. Honestly, I'm following your lead, my man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess let's talk about that then. I mean, what are your overall thoughts?
I like the story. I give the story a solid 8 out of 10. You know, as far as Mario RPG stories are concerned, because honestly, that's the only RPG game I've played. Except I wouldn't even call is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door an RPG game?
Yeah, it's 100% a turn-based RPG.
It's been a long time since I've played it, but
the first 2 Paper Mario games are actually like full-on turn-based RPGs. Super Paper Mario is not at all. It's just a platformer. But even Sticker Star and Color Splash and Origami King are still RPGs, or turn-based RPGs. Even they have kind of an interesting different mechanic that they're going for. They're kind of using kind of these gimmicks each time, and I kind of prefer the formula of the first 2 games. But
yeah, well, as far as the story goes, it starts out pretty hysterically. Like Luigi's out putting clothes on a clothesline, and Toad's coming up to him, talk about the situation, and they run inside, and Mario's taking a shower.
Yes.
It's perfect. But basically, the Goodwill Ambassador from the Bean Bean Kingdom and her assistant arrive at the castle in the Mushroom Kingdom to bring a gift from Queen Bean for Princess Peach. But the ambassador turns out to be Cacletta and her assistant Fawfal, who steal the voice and escape with it into the sky. And that basically sets the tone for the game. And
the game takes a lot of twists and turns too, because you thought that the main dilemma in this game, the main conflict is Peach losing her voice. It seems at first, but then halfway through the game you find out that wasn't Peach after all. It was a decoy, so Peach never lost her voice. But then not too long after that, Cacletta and Fawfal end up just straight up kidnapping Peach, so it turns into that now we got to go rescue Peach storyline. But I love how many twists and turns this game makes. There's even a part where you play as Luigi because Mario got a bad mushroom.
Yep, and that's awesome to me. I think that gives Luigi the time to shine that he truly deserves.
Yes, and he actually has to get hypnotized into thinking he's Mario because he's too scared. They play on that a lot. I mean, Luigi is definitely the more scared of the two. Mario is frequently throughout the series having to kind of throw him into battles because he doesn't want to do it. And I just love how they get into it. But then the brothers also love each other. Anytime they've ever been separated for an amount of time, I love how they start hugging each other and crying.
Yep. Also, I really like how you can make coffee in this game.
Oh yeah, with the beans that you can collect by beating mini games, digging up the beans underground and fighting enemies. They have Star Beans Cafe, and Professor Egad makes an appearance from Luigi's Mansion.
I know, it's fantastic. It's so good. What did you think about the opening section once you crash into the Bean Bean Kingdom? Of course, once you land, you eventually meet the Border Bros, and you have to beat the border jump game in order to pass. And that's when you learn the spin jump and the high jump, which are basically the first two brothers movements that you have in the game. And shortly after that, you find Bowser stuck in a cannon.
Yes.
And Tolstar. I think the name of the operator is Tolstar.
Yeah, Tolstar.
And he basically tells you that you have to get 100 Bean Bean coins in order to secure Bowser's release.
And they try to give him the mushroom coins, and he's like, oh no, mushroom coins aren't going to be enough. So you're going to have to collect Bean Bean coins because the exchange rate is really low. And then he doesn't let him go and fights you anyway. So it's kind of like, well, what did we do this for? Well, we did it so that we could learn the brothers' moves.
Absolutely. And it's worth it. It also kind of gives you, it's a really good tutorial section. There's a lot of areas that allow you to get accustomed to both Mario and Luigi's moves. And I think it's a very tasteful way to start the game, just because it's not super boring and it's not super long at all. Once you get through there, that's pretty much it. And you're just following the story as it goes.
One thing I wanted to mention, because when we brought up the Professor Egad cameo in the Starbeam segments, did you know that in that originally it was planned that characters from different Nintendo series, such as Link and Samus, would make cameo appearances
in this game?
Yes.
What?
In fact, some of the items that Professor Egad gives you are references to those games. And so what would have happened is, instead of him showing up every time, Link would have shown up and Samus would have shown up and delivered those items to you and drinking coffee.
Dude, I wish they had done that. That would have been adorable.
The sprites are there. If you go look on the Mario Wiki or whatever, you can find them. They actually have the sprites for the characters and everything.
Okay, hold up, brother. I am looking this up. Link and Samus in Superstar Saga.
Yeah, it's a thing. I think even maybe Fox McCloud was supposed to be in there. Yeah, and then Professor Egad would have been, one of the cameos, but not all of them. So that would have been really cool. The 3DS version actually turns some of the items into more distinct references, like the Great Force item that you receive in the game actually looks like the Triforce in the 3DS version.
Oh, dude, it would have been like the Minish Cap Link.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad. Why didn't they do that?
Which was perfect, actually. They already had a top-down perspective Link that fit the art aesthetic of this game, so on the same console.
Oh, dude, Olimar would have been in there.
Yep.
Fox and Toad.
I forgot about Olibar. Yeah, he's in there.
Wario?
Probably would have showed up with the Pikmin. You know, one thing I would like to see is Wario and Waluigi show up in a Mario and Luigi game.
Bro, oh my god. Well, I doubt they're gonna do that. Honestly, because they don't give Waluigi the time of day.
But they could. It would be perfect. You could have them X be Wario and Y be Waluigi. I kind of had an idea for a Mario and Luigi sequel where you actually had Peach and a unique Toad character that I named Toad Mario. This was years ago. My friend and I were trying to develop a Mario and Luigi game, and we had this whole system in place, all the brothers moves and everything figured out for this game that we wanted to do, and then you would have controlled all 4 characters, but you wouldn't have had to hit A, B, X, Y for every single platform. We would have simplified it somewhat, but yeah, we had this whole thing, and that was kind of a throwback to Super Mario Brothers 2.
Dude, I'm sitting here staring at the Samus sprite, and I'm so mad that it wasn't in there. That would have been so awesome.
That would have been cool.
But at the same time, why would they have been there?
Just cause, man. It's the Mario Luigi series. Don't question it.
Oh, man. I want it.
But yeah, I like that beginning section whenever you first gain the Bean Bean. Gained entry into the Bean Bean Kingdom. One thing that I'm not as big of a fan of is the border jump sequence. In fact, any of the times in the game where you're forced to complete a minigame to progress is kind of where the game slows to a crawl. And it's if you're not good at that particular minigame, you're just going to waste time. I mean, the minigames are fine. I mean, they're fun enough, at least some of them are, but they should be optional, not required. I think minigames should always be optional.
I mean, it adds to the
like
experience that you have in the game, and so I'm not too against it, but I kind of see your point. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not bad. I mean, the minigames are actually not that hard. You'll get past them pretty quickly, and I mean, it does actually give you some kind of a challenge to get through. I remember when I first played this game, there were quite a few times where things went to a standstill for me. I remember when I first fought Queen Bean, I had some difficulty with her. When I fought the Ciacola monster,
yeah,
I was kind of stuck. I don't think when I originally played this game I ever got past Hermie the Crab. I think I actually was stuck.
Hermie the Crab is a difficult fight. You have to time those claws perfectly, and even so, that. I love the Christmas tree shell.
And yet every single one of these bosses I killed in one try on this playthrough, so
well, I mean, once you have it down pat, there's a pattern to every single one of them, and once you get comfortable with those patterns, they're not hard to take out at all.
No, and it's using your brother's moves, right? I mean, you're going to be spamming your brother's moves during the boss battles, except of course when there's some sort of strategy, I think with Hermie you want to take down both of his claws. With Huhuros you want to get rid of one of the blocks so that he doesn't have a hiding place to go to.
Yep.
Even the Dragahoho character, you have when he'll spit out this stone, and so if he jumps on it, his attacks are harder to dodge and they deal more damage. So it's worth it to go ahead and take that thing out. Queen Bean is actually kind of fun, actually. I like her as a boss battle, and maybe I didn't realize this when I first played the game, but the typical strategy would be to defeat both of her arms, and then you would be able to take her out. But if you've unlocked the advanced move for Splash Brothers, that specific attack actually works against spiky enemies, so you can just jump straight on her head and not have to worry about the crown damaging you. So that's actually the kind of secret strategy to that fight, is just spam advanced Splash Brothers on her. But you'll only have unlocked that if you were using Splash Brothers enough in the battles beforehand to unlock the advanced version. So
yeah, no, I understand that, and I completely agree. Oh, God, Queen Bean was actually really tough the first time I fought her. Big burly chest and this giant laid-back head.
I remember I died several times, and I even got the strategy. It was difficult for me. In fact, an alternative strategy, too, is so that Luigi actually does get some use, is when you use his advanced knockback brothers, you could knock back both of her arms in one go. Well, if they aim it properly, but even if you don't, you still deal damage to her. Yeah. I like that one because that move actually ended up getting used in regular battles for me more often, because you can knock out multiple enemies with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really think that the boss battles were extremely well designed. Yeah, of course, the patterns, once you learn them, they're easy, but they're just fun. That's one thing I really love about this game. Even though the minigames do kind of slow down the pacing, this game is fun, and it leaves you just super excited for the next part. Because you know you're eventually working your way towards a boss battle, and everything you've learned and all the experience that you've gotten fighting monsters and just going through areas with Mario and Luigi, it just kind of prepares you for that point. And it does it in such a way that it leaves you wanting more, but it's perfectly spaced out in between. Like, the areas in between aren't too long, but they're not too short either. And I think that is just a testament to the work that AlphaDream put into this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think it's such a fun game, just all the way throughout. It's constantly always fun. There's never really a dull moment with this game. I mean, you'll really only put it down if you're a kid and and you're fighting a boss battle that's particularly difficult.
Yep. It took me a long time to get past Cackleta's Soul. It took me a very long time to get past that the first time. You said you stayed up all night doing that.
I stayed up all night beating Cackleta's Soul. By the way, I want to mention that most of this game is pretty fucking easy, but for some reason, at the very end, once you get to Bowser's Castle, everything becomes much more difficult all of a sudden. They just amp the difficulty up. You have to fight all of the Koopalings, which, by the way, awesome to see the Koopalings come back. I'm really glad that they put them all in, and they all have unique strategies and moves in their boss battles, but some of them even include a timer, meaning that you have to defeat them within a certain number of turns or you lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of reminds me of another thing I wanted to ask you. What was the most difficult section of the game for you?
Cackleta's Soul.
Cackleta's Soul, yes, but that's a boss fight. As far as, like, areas to get through, as far as the puzzles you had to solve, mine was Hoo Hoo University.
Isn't it Woohoo University or something?
Woohoo.
All the names in this game, like all the names of areas are all puns on, like, laughing. That's the running thing in this game. In fact, all of the characters, a lot of the characters are Cackleta.
Yeah, Woohoo University.
Woohoo University.
It's all some of laughter.
That is a very challenging section of the game. It's very complicated, and you have to end up kind of backtracking and going through other areas to reach other areas. The puzzle solving is I mean, it's straightforward-ish, but you still have to run all the way around. And then there's one section where Mario gets separated from Luigi.
Yep.
Or no, it's the other way around. Luigi gets separated from Mario. And, you have to control just one of the brothers for a little while.
And that makes it interesting. It makes you fully rely on everything you've learned so far just to kind of make it work.
Yeah. But, and then even the boss battles afterwards, because you end up fighting 2 boss battles, I think, right after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Fawfal and then Cackleta, right?
Yeah. But, no, it's you fight Cackleta, and then not long after that, you fight Popple and Rookie again.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that part was hard, but I want to say probably the most difficult part of the game for me was Joke's End.
Yep. Joke's End is tough.
And the enemies are relentless. Oh my fucking god. Trying to go through this area, like when I was going back through the game and collecting, and I did, I don't know why I did, but I did. I went through the game and I collected all of the beans and all of the blocks, because that's all tracked in the 3DS version. So you actually have that's one of the good improvements, is that you have a counter for how many beans and blocks you've done in every area. If you're interested in completing this game 100%, I'm not sure that it's worth it. More to talk about on that in a minute, but Joke's End was particularly difficult. If you're trying to go through that area and you're just trying to collect things and you're not trying to fight the enemies, oh my god, it's so fucking annoying how many battles you run into.
Yep, but it's worth it though. It kind of adds a sense of completion to the end of it. Once you've done it, you're like, okay, I've done this. It's over.
And they give you some good EXP too. So, it is actually worth it in that section. But yeah, there are a lot of enemies that a lot of them seem to be weak against your hand powers, and particularly Mario's Firebrand, because it's kind of an ice area.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's like it. That's kind of an OP part of the game right there.
And even the boss battle at the end of it, when you fight Hohora or Jojora, I don't know how it is, and her friend who you get to name.
Yep.
Kind of like the Popple and Rookie battles, where it's actually advantageous to kill one over the other usually.
Yep.
But if you do it in the opposite way and you do actually manage to take both characters out, you get spoils that you don't normally get.
Yep.
That applies to the Popple and Rookie battles as well, who, by the way, you face multiple times throughout the game, and then later on, Popple gets a new Rookie once Bowser regains his memory, but then shortly after becomes the terrifying. I mean, oh god, if I ever see Bowletta again, Bowletta.
Hey, she did it was a very, very awesome boss fight. A really, really badass way to end the game.
Oh, it's a cool boss fight. Don't get me wrong, but oh god, no. We thought that what the fuck was the name of that meme version of Bowser that was a woman?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I have no clue.
It was a meme for a while, and it was just absolutely horrible. Let me see, Bowser. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. Bowsette.
Bowsette.
Yeah, it was a meme for a while, actually. Bowsette, like a mainstream meme, not even just like a Mario meme, like of fans of the Mario series. Like people were just sharing Bowsette memes everywhere. Bowletta is even more terrifying than Bowsette in terms of just, oh my god, what the fuck is that?
Yep. It's a very, very terrifying way of combining ability, but hey, makes for a hell of a boss fight, that's for sure.
Ciacoletta's soul, oh my god. Yeah, as Zach said previously, I stayed up all night. I literally pulled an all-nighter trying to kill Ciacoletta's soul, and I still didn't beat it. Eventually, I went to bed for a couple hours, and then the first thing I did in the morning was I beat it with kind of like a little bit of a rest, and I actually managed to get it pretty easily that time. But holy shit, that boss fight is so hard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's not necessarily how difficult the fight is that makes it so tough. It's the fact that it takes so long. Ciacoletta has so many hit points. It's ridiculous.
And her attacks deal major damage. So if you don't learn how to dodge them, and some of them are pretty difficult, you're going to be constantly reviving bros with 1-up mushrooms. Also, they start you out with 0 HP and however much BP you had from the previous fight, which mine was exhausted. So every time I started that fight, I had to give both Mario and Luigi golden mushrooms. And that was in the 3DS version, which is supposedly a little bit easier. And I still had a hell of a time fighting Ciacoletta's soul. Oh my god. I mean, you got to take out both of her arms using fire and lightning powers. And unlike most boss battles where you could use a solo move to take them out, they actually have enough HP in and of themselves that you can use a couple of brothers moves each against each arm, and then you take out her head, and then you have access to her heart. But then after a while, she regrows her limbs. The heart's still available for a little while to hit, but then that hides itself again. And so it is, like you said, it's a very long boss battle.
It's exhausting. Like, it's mentally exhausting. It's a true testament to the power of Mario and Luigi.
You only deal real damage, I think, when you're fighting the heart.
Absolutely.
So
you have to just get to it first.
So you have to take out both arms and the head before you could even start damaging her. And it doesn't stay out for too long. So a lot of times, you're going to be wasting turns healing the brothers back up.
And also,
or giving them more syrup.
When you get to the point where you actually win the fight, Ciacoletta literally just shakes and explodes. It's so anticlimactic, but at the same time, it's really well done because you're like, oh, I did it. I'm out of here now. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say the 3DS version even makes that boss battle even more epic somehow. I mean, they really outdid it. They redid her entire model in 3D. She's one of the few characters that is actually a 3D model instead of a sprite. And the soul part and the whole boss battle background was made different. It looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get in on that because that sounds like a really good time.
But hey, I guess that's enough talking about it for part one. I mean, we're reaching up on an hour here. We'll save some points on the game because we've still got plenty to talk about for part two.
Oh my god, yes we do.
But anywho, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or feedback on your platform of choice. Stay tuned for part 2 of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. We'll be releasing that hopefully just right after this one because we're kind of late getting this one out. So if I get this out the week after that, that'll put us right back on schedule and we'll be good. We're recording these pretty much one right after the other. We're doing part 1 today, and we're going to be recording part 2 tomorrow.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'll try to have this out as quickly as possible. Of course, by the time you're listening to this, it's already out, but yeah. Now, after that, in the month of February, Horizon Forbidden West is coming out, so we're doing a 2-part episode on Horizon Zero Dawn, and then part 2 will be a game launch edition, spoiler-free review of Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm excited about that because I actually really do love Horizon. I've gotten quite a bit ways into the game already, and I'm having a hell of a time. I like it quite a bit, and then we've still got plenty more to go. We've got a lot of more titles to discuss throughout 2022. By the way, happy 2022.
Yeah, happy New Year, everybody.
I think Megan and I have released part 2 of Twilight Princess after the New Year, so it's not our first episode of the New Year, but it is, in fact. Or maybe we did release it beforehand. I don't remember.
Well, it's out. That's what matters.
But anyway, yeah, it's fun to be on 2022. You can find Collateral Gaming wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever. Check out our Patreon as well. We are releasing full-length, exclusive Let's Play video game commentaries, and that's a lot of fun. In fact, like Zach said, I mean, we probably need to do something with this game, or maybe make it a live stream like you were saying.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
I'm down. I'm totally down for that, totes. Yeah. Anything else to add?
No, man, I'm good. We'll see you guys for part 2.
All right, guys. That being said, I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Zachary Gio.
A pick up to put up to put
A tutto detto. Ho monito teletrapato.
Collateral Gaming is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.